What's going on, guys? Claytano here. Thanks so much for tuning in. So real quick before we get started in this monster review, I just want to make a couple announcements. So from here on out, I'm going to be making a video every Sunday for a different monster review or Summoner's War related. So that'll come out every Sunday, so just make sure you subscribe so that way you can keep updated with those videos. Also, I'm going to be posting videos every Wednesday morning. Those can be either Summoner's War videos or non-related Summoners or non-related videos to Summoner's War at all, such as my maybe my vlog or something like that. So just an FYI, guys, just to stay tuned so you keep up on those. Hit that subscribe button, definitely helps me out. But let's go ahead and jump right into the monster review here. And today we're going to be doing the Chimera or Chimera, whatever you want to call them. They're freaking beastly looking. They're one of the coolest looking monsters in the game for sure. Just this guy looks, I mean, you can see Rakan. He's got the horns. It's red. Everything's flaming. Just awesome looking monsters. The artist definitely did a good job on them. But what I'm going to do today is just go over the runes, some strategy for arena, and how you should be using them. And then I also got a request of how to beat them. So how do you counter these monsters as well? Because you know, maybe not everybody has these monsters, but we definitely see them in arena a lot. So how are we going to counter them? So Rakan, first off, the Fire Chimera, he has the fire HP attribute of 50%. So all the Chimeras do have a 50% HP boost for their specific element. So fire has a 50% HP boost for fire monsters, light has light 50% HP boost, and so on and so forth. So I don't need to go over those skills too much. They're for anything dungeons, arena, guild wars. It works everywhere. So that's definitely a good skill. Kind of OP if you're running a full fire team, which a lot of the new metas coming out is definitely, you know, a fire defense. So for Rakan to have that skill, it's definitely good there. Now his collapse skill, we'll hold off on that for just a second because I want to go over their first skill since all the Chimeras have the same skill here as well. It pins down the enemy and inflicts continuous damage for 1 turn. Okay, every single Chimera has that across the board. So I'll be going over that in just a little bit as I talk about each one as well. And then there's 2 different types of second skills, just like it is mostly for all monsters. This one here is Unleashed Fury. It gains attack power and immunity against harmful effects for 3 turns. Instantly recovers turn when used. So basically, to kind of explain this, it's like automatic violent proc. So you use the skill and then automatically you get to go again. So one of the best things about this skill is that if your defense broken for 2 turns, you use this skill, it's not going to remove it for you, but what happens is it uses one skill, clicks the defense break to 1, and then you go and attack again and it clicks the defense break to 0. And that does it for any 2-turn debuff, and most of the debuffs are 2 turns except for a couple of them. Like Annabelle has a 3-turn defense break, but you know, even speed debuffs and attack debuffs and health regen debuffs, if you use this skill, it's going to get rid of it anyway. So it's pretty much a you know, like a dispel, kind of like, you know, what Konamiya does or something like that. It's a dispeller for the most part because you use those turns to get rid of the dots or the well, the dots are going to hit you either way, but like as far as the debuffs go, those will get rid of in the first before you get attacked again, basically. So definitely pretty OP there. And what happens is it's a 5-turn recovery and it gives you a buff for 3 turns. However, when you skill it up, it'll go down to two turns. It'll go down 2 turns to 3 turns, and then so you have the buff up for 3 turns, and then you can use it right again. So you're always going to be buffed. You're always going to have immunity buff. You're always going to have attack buff. Now, The only thing that's wrong with Rakan is he doesn't need an attack buff. Because he's an HP monster, you're going to want to build him tanky with HP. His collapse skill is based off his max HP as well. Nothing special about it, just does damage based off max HP, but it definitely does a lot of damage. Now with somebody like this, who's kind of like a tanky bruiser damage dealer type monster, it's hard because you don't want to lose out on the 63% HP on the second rune slot to go for speed, although it is very tempting to go for speed on a monster like this, because you definitely want more speed in arena. The more speed, the better, the more turns you're going to have. It's so important. But in this situation, Rakan, he's already going to be tanky. His speeds, it's pretty crappy, to be honest with you. It's horrible. So what my rune recommendations would be for this guy would be a Violent Runes, and I would say probably Nemesis or Revenge. The reason why Revenge is viable on Rakan is because of their first skill. It's going to increase, it's going to do dots. It's going to leave damage over time. So anytime you do that, you get attacked, you go put a dot on the person. It's easy 5% damage that you don't even need to worry about, plus whatever damage you do on the attack itself. So I would either do, like I said, either Nemesis or Revenge. Now, the other thing to use would be Blade, and the reason why is because you're going to want to go crit damage on your 4 rune. So you're going to want to do crit damage on your 4 rune, and then you're going to want to do HP again on 6. So the reason why you want crit damage is because his third skill is going to scale off of crit damage and crit rate. The more crit damage you have, the more damage it's going to do. So that's what I would recommend for runes for him. Now, to counter him, I would say going with a Bella, just because you want to get rid of the immunity, you want to get rid of the attack. The attack doesn't really mean too much, but the immunity, and then go with like a violent Bella, so that way you can immediately, if possible, seize and then defense break right off the bat. And then as far as a damage dealing monster would be, I would go with the Sigmaris, just because he does, or she does, damage based on the opponent's max HP. So definitely, it would work against Rakan because he has a lot of HP. He has 11,700 HP to start off with. He's going to have a pretty high pool of HP to help do damage from Sig. So that would be my recommendation. Now, obviously it depends on what monsters he's with, how you're going to be wanting to play against him, because he could have so many different options with him that you're going to want to kind of choose the best. But if you're just fighting a Rakan by himself, which you're never going to do, but it'd be best to bring someone that can remove his buffs, so that way you can hit a defense break on him, because without a defense break you're not going to be doing too much damage unless you hit a lot of dots, and there's not too many daughters out there that are going to be good against fire monsters other than maybe Vermos or Lumercia. Lumercia would be good because as long as you get rid of his immunity, then you can put his third skill on cooldown, and that's all you need. Alright, so next up we have Taor, who is the water chimera. Definitely, probably one of my favorite chimeras. He's well-rounded as far as having HP and attack. Now, he is an attack-based monster, as you can see. Clearly, he's got a lot of attack. He's got 911 attack. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty up there. Now, his skill base definitely complements that as well. Again, same first skill, same leader skill. Don't need to go over those, don't need to waste time. But his second skill is a little bit different now. It's called Squall. And what this is the faster your attack speed, the greater the damage becomes, and your attack speed is increased for 2 turns if you get a critical hit. So, You don't need 100% critical rate for Taor. I would stick with maybe around 80, 80-ish, 85-ish. But you definitely want to rune crit damage on the 4 slot as well, just to kind of maximize that damage and try to get 85% crit rate subsets. It's definitely, you know, a hard thing to try to obtain, but that's what you want your goal to be. And I would say focusing on more of the crit rate before going to the crit damage. The crit rate, you definitely want that to be 80 to 85% because that attack speed increase is going to be so important because he has such low speed. You're going to need that attack speed increase. Now, if you have somebody already on your team that already does the attack speed increase, then maybe it's not so important, and maybe you should focus more on crit damage. All depends on who you kind of pair this monster with. His third skill, however, attacks all enemies. The target enemy freezes for 1 turn, while the attack speed of all other enemies decreases for 3 turns. So this right here is showing you he's kind of messing with the speed of him and his opponents. So you know, this is always important for arena. It's important for Trial of Ascension, anything like that that you can kind of slow down someone else's speed. You know, paired with a bird that boosts your speed, paired with a you know, anybody like that, like attack bar boost would help out as well. Like Konami, I always say that she's one of the most underrated 2-star monsters. If you haven't made one yet, definitely look into that. Trust me. But as far as runes go for Taor, or Taor, whatever you want to call him, I would definitely put speed on his second slot. You want this guy to be as fast as possible. Some people do run him with swift runes just to maximize the damage from Squall. However, you know, swift is fine, but with having kind of a low base speed to begin with, it's not gonna maximize his potential as far as his damage output and things like that. So what you want to do, stick with violent runes. Stick with violent runes on Taor. He's gonna have a, you know, an AOE stun and slowdown. It's not AOE stun, but it's just the one that you targeted, obviously. But it slows down the rest of them. So stick with violent, because the more you have this skill up, the more you have Squall up, the better, because that's where he's going to get his damage from. So I would go speed with either crit rate or crit damage on 4, depending on what kind of other substats you have to complement it. And then on the 6th rune, obviously go attack. Don't go HP on this monster. You want him to be speedy and do damage. If you felt like he wasn't tanky enough, then pair him with someone like Vertihile, who can, you know, increase the HP of all the monsters in the group, not just Taor. If it was just a lot of water monsters, then go ahead and put him as a leader, so that way it increases his max HP by 50% right off the bat. To counter him, I would say that you want someone to stun him. You want to stun lock him as much as possible. If you have a what's his name? If you have a Tyrant, to land a freeze on him right off the bat, because he's not going to have that speed buff right off the bat. He's going to have that after probably his first or second turn, depending on if you face him in arena. So to counter him, I would go with either Tyrant, I would go with somebody that can lock him down, and then someone that can one-shot him. People that can one-shot him, you know, just basically any general nuker. If you have a wind samurai, would be a good one for him. If you don't have that, you know, there's the ninja, there's wind ninja. Anybody like that is always going to be helpful. So definitely try to get him out of the way as soon as possible, because if you don't, he's pretty much gonna run through your team, guys. He's probably, I'd say, either the second or maybe third best Chimera as far as all the elements go. And as far as his offset runes go, I would look into probably, I'd probably go with Blade Runes, just because you want to get a little bit more crit rate, because again, damage is based off of crit damage and crit rate. So he's going to be doing damage, he's going to be wanting that crit rate, he's going to be wanting Blade Runes. You know, I don't like going revenge on kind of squishier monsters. Not to say that Taor is squishy at all, because he's not, but just someone that can get nuked down in one turn. There's no point in having a revenge rune on him, because he's going to be dead in a couple turns. So, you know, don't run revenge on him. Run the crit rate, the blade. Okay. All right. So next up is Lagmaron, the Wind Chimera. He is pretty beastly, I must say. He's one of the, I mean, all the chimeras are really good, but he's also very useful to have on your team. He's an attack-based monster, but he's got 11,535 HP. Like, I'd be hard pressed to find another attack monster with more HP than that. His green eyes are kind of throwing me off. I'm not a fan of that. They should either be yellow like his arms, or his arms should be green like his eyes. I don't know why they did that, but either way, attacks 801, so still fairly decent attack. But look at his speed, is 110. That's great. That's, I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that. As far as his base subset, he's good all around. Again, same first skill, same leader skill, but for wind. And then Squall is the same as the Water Chimera skill, but this even helps out more because his base speed is already 110. So Squall is already going to do a little bit more damage just because of that. Critical hit, though. Again, you definitely want him to have as much crit rate as possible. For Lagmaron, I'd say shoot for 90, if not 100. You definitely still want crit damage on your 4 slot if possible, to get as much substats as possible from your other runes there. But then his third skill is really good because it weakens their attack power. So weakens their attack power, has a chance to stun them with a 50% chance. 50% chance, that's a good, solid, reliable chance that you're going to at least hit, you know, 1 or 2 of the opponents in either arena or whatever you use them for. It's reliable either way. As far as runes go for him, I would definitely go speed in 2, crit rate or crit damage in 4 again, and attack in 6. And as far as going either swift or violent, you can definitely run swift on Lagmaron. If you have him with swift, no one's going to say anything like that's a bad build because of his 110 speed. He already has that base speed to go off of, so swift does increase the max speed by the base speed, not, you know, you understand. So you can go swift on him, but if you do that, make sure he's extremely fast, and I mean scary fast. You want him to be, you know, pushing 230, 240 plus speed. And if he does have that, he's going to be doing some massive amount of damage with his Squall there, his second skill. To counter a Lagmaron, or let me tell you this first. If you do want to go with Lagmaron, definitely have him with a speed leader if possible, because if he goes first, if he, you know, lands a couple stuns and he decreases the attack, it's definitely gonna help your team out more so than not. I mean, obviously, but try to put him with a speed leader like Tyron, or, you know, I don't really like Shimate, but she has good speed. If you happen to be lucky enough to have Vanessa in arena, that's the best leader to put with Lagmaron, because it's 33% speed buff. Like, it's ridiculously OP. So yeah, to counter a Lagmaron, I would say to go with Will Runes to counter him, just because if you fight a super fast one, a Guardian level Lagmaron, there's not really going to be much that you can do. He's probably going to go first unless you have a super fast team as far as your offense goes. If you want to put like a Chloe on, you know, Chloe's can be definitely outspeed a Lagmaron if they're runed with Swift. But you know, most Lagmarons aren't going to be super fast, so I would say Chloe would be his best counter to have on her team. So if I were to go on an offense against him, I don't have Chloe, so my strategy against Lagmaron is just to tank it out and then nuke him down first. But again, he is going to be super fast, so you can't have such a sluggish team where he's going to be attacking 3 times to your 1. It's, you know, you're going to lose that way because he's going to do so much damage. He's going to still be pretty tanky because he has 11,535 base health. So if you have a Chloe, use that. Try to have your Chloe as fast as possible. That's always definitely the best way to go, is having a fast Chloe. But for me, I would just tank it out and probably nuke him down first, because he's going to be in a nuking range. If you want to use someone like Kali to nuke him down, even though she just got nerfed, you can do that. Use some sort of fire nuke. There's a ton of them. There's, you know, Perna. If you're, I hate you if you have Perna, but you know, I still love you because you're watching this video. But if you have Perna, you can use her. But definitely, as far as nuking goes, you want to either have a defense break on or a defense ignore skill. The reason why I say that is because you're going to do the most damage that way. When you get up to Guardian ranks, it's going to be very rare that you can nuke someone down without having a defense break, without having a defense ignore skill. Even someone like Lagmaron, who's not necessarily going to be a tank monster. So definitely want to bring those on your AOs with you as much as possible. And as far as his, you know, offset rune, his 2-set rune, you're gonna want Blade, obviously, because you want his crit rate to be as much as possible. You want his crit damage to be as much as possible because he's gonna be a damage dealer. All right, so next up is Shan, or Shan, or Sean, or whatever you want to call him. It is the Light Chimera. He's pretty OP. Not gonna lie, he's definitely I'd say the second best Chimera. He's a support-based monster though, which is kind of funny. His HP is good. His attacks, it's decent. It's not, you know, the greatest. I would like to see that a little bit higher, but you know, speed kind of crappy too. But his skill right here stuns up to 3 enemies, including the designated target, and heals yourself. If there are not enough enemies to stun, the excessive stuns will instead heal allies with lower health, or with low health. The healing amount is based on your max HP. So you want to run him with kind of some HP on him. You know, you definitely want to, you know, give them as much heals as possible, but he's still going to do some speed if you have him with speed. Okay. So how would I rune Shan, or Shan, whatever you want to call him? He does have Squall. It is the you know, the speed based second skill for the Chimeras. So what you want to do is go Violent for sure. He already has a built-in stun. You don't need to do Despair. There's no point in that. Again, he doesn't have enough base speed to really want to do Swift to get the most out of it, to maximize his potential. So I would go Violent. I would go Speed in his second slot. I would probably go HP in 4 and 6. Now, if you didn't want to do that, if you wanted to put crit rate in his 4 slot to kind of, you know, help bring his base speed up, I don't see. I wouldn't really do that. I would try to get crit rate substats. I would try to get crit rate and speed substats on, and do 4 and 6 HP base percentage. And if you wanted to do revenge on Shan, I would do revenge on Shan. Either revenge or nemesis, depending on what you like with that. The reason why is because he's gonna need his dots to do damage. That's plain and simple. The more times he attacks, the better. I would probably focus more on trying to do damage from his first skill than his second skill, but even still being able to do damage from his second skill by putting the speed rune on his second slot. So that's the rune recommendation right there. I would go revenge or nemesis for the offset. If you did want to do him more of like a tanky bruiser, then you could do crit rate or crit damage on 4 and then go blade runes again, just to try to get as much damage out of him as possible. But I don't see the point in that. I would use him more as like a really fast healer and stunner with violent runes, because it's OP. Violent runes are still OP. They've gotten nerfed a few times, but still, you know, I had an Annabelle, and I know they have kind of like a built-in violent rune if they put your monster to sleep. I had an Annabelle, which is the water occult girl. She attacked 12 times in a row. 12 times in a row. Let me tell you how this happened. She did her main skill, her, you know, AoE defense break wave thing, bull crap that she does, and then she used her first skill, put one of them to sleep, but you know, it did so much damage because he was already put on defense break. So she put him to sleep, went over, hit another person, put them to sleep, and then got another one because she put him to sleep. Didn't hit the sleep the third time, but violent procced that time. And I think she either healed in there, because I knew she needed one heal, so she might have healed after the first wave, but then she did another wave in the same turn, and then, you know, shot a couple more people down, and I was like sitting there wishing that I was recording this to show you guys. It's how stupid some arena offenses could be, because it's solely based on luck and how many times you proc violent, or how many times you proc your random ass skills. And I don't know, I was kind of traumatized after that whole experience. I don't know if I'll ever fight another occult girl ever again because of it. So, but anyway, to counter Shan, you know, there's really not many that I've seen in the arena to really try to counter. But if I were to counter one, I would probably bring. I mean, if I was just to think about this for a second here, if I were to counter Shan, I wouldn't really matter too much. The only thing that I would be scared of is if he was the leader, and had a 50% HP boost, and had a bunch of light monsters with him as well, like Darien, as well as, you know, Bella, and some other OP light monster. I'm not gonna say Almond, because that's I don't like Almond. But if he had Darien and Bella with him, I would be pretty scared. I'd probably try to just stun lock the team as much as possible. I'd go with a speed team. I'd go with probably Taor lead. I'd go with Vertihile. I'd go with Bella, and just try to stun lock them as much as possible. If you don't have those monsters that I just named off, there's many other monsters that you can use to stun lock people. Even if you want to use like despair users to stun them. It's perfectly fine. But that's probably what I would do. I'd stun lock them, and then just work on one at a time. That's it. That's all you really can do. All right, guys. So last on the list is Zeratu, the one that everybody is dying to get. Everybody loves to see videos on, and pretty much one of the best monsters in the game, hands down. A lot of people say, it's between him and the Banana Man and Mananan Man, the Banana Mananan Man, Mananan, yeah, the dark Sea Emperor that just got released is super OP, and he's probably takes the cake on Zeratu right now. But Zeratu still holds his ground, one of the best monsters in the game still. I'd probably rank him either 2 or 3 right now. I'd still rate Zeros the best monster in the game, just because he's got such a unique skill. Nobody else really has it. Other people that have a similar skill, like some of the Sea Emperors that can put all AoE skills on cooldown. It's only for like 2 turns. It's not the same, and it's something that can be removed by Vermos. So I don't see the value in it. All right, so let's jump into the skills real quick. He has the same skill as Rakan, the Fire Chimera. Again, this one's going to do so much more for Zeratu just because he is an attack-based monster. He has decent HP for an attack-based monster. He's got over 10,000. Anytime you're over 10,000 HP for an attack-based monster, that's good. That's really good. Speed, not so good. It doesn't matter, because you're going to go Violent Runes on Zeratu. Okay, but we'll get into that later, because there's a couple options that we can do with Zeratu. His attack, though, not so good, right? 790 for an attack-based monster. That's low. That's really low. 790. That's horrible. But the reason why it works good is because of his passive skill. His passive skill inflicts up to 2 extra attacks with 50% of the damage if you get a critical hit. So immediately, you want 100% critical rate on Zeratu. That's a must. A must. Because if you hit critical 100% of the time, then you're going to hit double your damage 100% of the time. And that turns this attack power from 790 all the way up to 1580. If I did my math right, 790, yes, 1580. Okay, but get this. The reason why Zeratu is so OP is because of his first skill. This is the only skill that you're using to attack people with. It deals continuous damage for 1 turn. So when you use it with his passive that has him attack 2 more times, he's going to be doing 15% max HP damage on an enemy, on top of his already massive amount of damage that he's doing because he has a built-in attack boost that lasts the entire battle unless he's debuffed by someone, but he can use it again before he even gets rid of it. So he's constantly on immunity, constantly on attack buff. He, like I said earlier in the video as well, if he happens to get hit with like a quick speed debuff right at the beginning, right at the start of the match, the first time he goes, he gets rid of both of those turns immediately, right off the bat, because he's going to use his second skill, and then he's going to go again, and then it's just so OP. So Violent Runes, I would say 100% go Violent Runes. People like to go Rage Runes. I don't know why. The reason why I don't know why people like to go with Rage Runes is because it makes no sense. If you're going to do Rage Runes on Zeratu, that means you're only going to do 1 turn. He's already a slow monster. If you did Violent, he has a chance to go 2 turns, he has a chance to go 3 turns, he has a chance to go 4 turns, and each time he goes, he's going to put more and more dots on. If you just did Rage, he's going to have one single turn. That's it, one single turn with 40% more crit damage, which, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But on Zeratu, it's not worth it. If you have 2 turns, and out of those 2 turns, one of them lands a Violent proc, you're already good. You know, now Violent procs may not happen that often, but they seem to happen a lot more than 22%, I'll tell you that. So yes, here's my cat, by the way. There's my cat right there, sitting all pretty like. But like I was saying, Violent runes are going to be so much more beneficial for Zeratu just because if you attack one time with Rage runes, that's going to be it. If you attack multiple times, if you get a couple lucky Violent procs with Zeratu, that's going to be so much more beneficial because you get the extra dots that you put on, you get the extra turn, and you get a chance to go even 3 times, 4 times. It's a no-brainer. Go Violent. Go Violent. Okay, I'm done talking about it. Go Violent. Blade, if you can't get, you know, up to the amount, I believe Blade is the best sub rune set for Zeratu to match up with Violent, because you're going to want him to have 100% critical rate. You're going to put attack on 2, you're going to put crit rate on 4, you're going to put attack on 6. So with that, you don't want to really spend too much of your substats focusing on more crit rate. You want that to be focused mainly on crit damage. Don't even really focus on attack. Focus on crit damage, because attack percent's not going to really help you out as much as crit damage is going to, because your base attack is low. So don't focus on attack percent substats. Focus on crit damage substats. Plain and simple. If you want to do some speed substats, that always helps as well. But go with crit damage substats with Blade subrunes. To counter a Zeratu, you know, I've seen some people run him with will runes, and it's kind of scary when they do that. And that would be the only other alternative if you have enough substats of crit rate, if you have enough substats of crit damage where you feel okay with the amount of crit rate and crit damage that you already have on him. You could put will runes on him, and that would be definitely, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea, because he would constantly always have immunity. Because the reason why is the main strategy to counter a Zeratu is going to be to nuke him down first before he even gets the turn. Because if he gets the turn, he's going to do some damage, especially if one of his teammates lands a lands a defense break on your team, and that's how I actually rune mine. Is the speed is 1 less than my Bella's speed, because my Bella's going to go immediately before my Zeratu goes, and my Zeratu is going to attack right after that and do the most damage, and probably most likely take out that one target. I don't care who it is, he's probably going to take it out, because with the damage multiplier, he's going to be doing, you know, 30,000 to 40,000 damage per attack. So you definitely want to get him killed as much as possible. I don't really see too many arena defenses with Zeratu, because it's 1, not a good arena defense mob, 2, nobody has him. Plain and simple. I mean, not nobody has him, because, you know, there's definitely a lot of players out there that do, but to counter him, take him out first. I don't care who else is there. I don't care. Take out Zeratu first and foremost before anybody else, before you focus anybody else. Kill him. It's not going to be that hard, because it's going to be pretty squishy. So kill him first, and then move on to the next monsters after that. It's really not that hard to counter him. You just want to make sure that you focus him down. Get rid of his attack buff. Get rid of his immunity. If you need a defense break him, fine. Get rid of that. Defense break him and kill him. Done. He should be dead in the first turn before he even gets a turn. Okay, but other than that, he's a pretty easy monster to counter. Don't put him in your arena defense because I don't recommend that unless he's the only monster that you have. Which most of the time, Zeratu players they buy their accounts, so typically it is the only monster you have. If that's the case, then put him in your arena defense. You know, it's up to you. But alright guys, so that was my review on the Chimeras. I hope you guys liked it. It was one of the longest reviews that I've done.
What's wrong?
Why did you say it?
Say what? No, that's not a word, so I didn't say anything.
Okay, stop. Let me finish this video so that way I can finish. Yes. Alright guys, so that is my review on the Chimeras. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully it helped you guys out. Definitely took some time on it because there's so much to it. There's a lot of people that do have Chimeras. Not necessarily Zeratus or Shans in particular, but you definitely want to be able to counter them. If you do face them in the arena, you definitely want to learn how to rune them as best as possible if you do happen to have one. They're very, very good monsters. All elements are definitely worth leveling, worth 6-starring. So take your time, put the effort into them, use your devil mons on them. They're gonna give you a good return on raising them. You're not gonna be disappointed at all. If you do have any questions at all, feel free to comment below. I'm more than happy to answer anything, give you more in-depth explanation of why I chose each rune set for each one. Also, like I said earlier in the video, I am going to be posting monster reviews every Sunday from now on, so please comment below which one you want to see next, because that's really how I choose which monster I do. There's so many to choose from. I only go by request, really. I did get an Occult Girl request, so I'm probably going to be doing that one next. Also, if my video helped you out, definitely like it as well as subscribe so that way you don't miss any of the videos. It definitely helps me out. Definitely appreciate it. And I will be adding more videos to come. Also going to be posting every Wednesday as well. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful time leveling and runing your Chimeras, and I will see you in the arena. Bye-bye.